Like to call the meeting to order. The July 11th, 2012 meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission, and remind you, if you have cell phones and or pagers, kindly turn them off or to silent so they don't go off during the meeting. First order of business is a request for determination of applicability. Diane Trad, City of Lowell. Project location is the Spalding House at 17 to 23.1 School Street, and to install a staircase and landscaping in the 100-foot buffer zone to an inland bank toward the Merrimack River. Diane, if you could identify yourself for the record.
Does everybody remember me? I'm Diane Trad, City of Lowell, DPD. I have missed you, actually. This is, I know you're all familiar with the Spalding House and the park behind the Spalding House. This stairway will connect that park down to the lower level where the Park Service has their boat launch, and also then will connect pedestrians to the Great Wall, is that what you call that? That Great River Wall that's currently locked, but eventually it will be open. So this will be the connection so people can continue up to the park. And it's being developed with funding from the Park Service. It's on DCR land with an easement to the Park Service, to DCR, so. Pretty straightforward.
Is this is a permanent stairway
Yes.
that you're putting? Is it, a couple of questions. The main one is, will this at all be problematic for, I know NL and Boot Hydro like to bring their crane down there from time to time to clean out the debris in front of the Francis Gatehouse. Is this sort of out of their way, or?
It's completely out of their way. It's actually, do you remember where wastewater did their pumps? And there's an electrical station up kind of on a slope. It went before the Conservation Commission a couple of years ago. It's on that side, right next to the historic wall, and then down to the driveway. So we don't even reach the driveway, so they can go in and out with the cranes, no problem.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's the only question I had. Commissioner Lovely?
No?
Commissioner Chalupka? Commissioner Bonham?
You have a little bit of excavation for the footings of this. How is that going to be handled? Do you expect to have any piling of soil or anything like that, or would you take it immediately somewhere off the site, or will it be soil removed, is what I'm trying to...
We have to do, there's a little piece of this that's up above on the park where we're resetting some of the walkway. So if we have some soil, we may need it up there. I guess just grading of the slope, or if we don't use it, we'll put it somewhere else. It will be removed.
I was just wondering if there would be anything sitting around in piles. In other words, would you need erosion control around any area?
I think this is going to go very, very quickly. Most of the contractors that we talked to said it would be done within a few weeks, because all they have to do is order the steel, and I don't think there'll be piles. If there are, we will do erosion control. I think we'll put hay bales anyways. Did you have those on the plan? This is Sherry Freer with the National Park Service, and she actually did the design, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Lynch?
No questions.
All right. Aaron, anything from the city engineer's office regarding this? No.
No, we didn't receive any department comments.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else with? Oh, yeah, this is a public hearing. There's no one here to speak. This is here for request for determination of applicability. Clearly, this is in the buffer zone, and it's potentially even in floodplain, that stretch. I'm not too sure. I know the line is very close, and it may actually even be within the floodway may be within the bank of the Merrimack, because I know there's a granite embankment on that side that runs along by the, from the Francis Gatehouse back to the back along the blacksmith building and whatnot.
When we looked at it, it looks like it is partially, at least in the 500-year floodplain, but it didn't
Okay.
look like any of the work
Not in the
was
100.
within the 100
Okay.
years, so it should be pretty far out of it.
Yeah, as I recall, we had, this isn't the first time we've seen the site in detail, and I think, as I recall, a couple years ago, we were looking at this, and I think I was a little, I think as I recall, the floodway is contained within the river. It kicks up a little bit as you go further past the blacksmith house, but this is between the gatehouse and the blacksmith house, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, okay.
Yeah, yeah, so, yeah, I think it's.
It's actually right next to that driveway, yeah, right.
Right, because that's higher ground up near there anyway,
Yep.
so, yeah, okay. This is here for a request for determination of applicability. I mean, clearly it's in the buffer zone, but at least as far as I'm concerned, it seems to be very minimal impacts, and I, for one, would be comfortable issuing a -3 on this. And I'll, again, let's get the board's input if someone wants to make a motion, and then we can discuss a motion on the table.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be willing to make the offer of a motion to make a -3 determination, because I too concur that I think that the scale of this project is minimal and would not have an adverse impact on the resource.
All right, do I have a second?
Second?
All right, by Commissioner Chalupka. Any discussion on the motion? All right, okay. I'll take a vote then. All in favor, or opposed, Commissioner Lovely?
I'm in favor, aye.
Commissioner Chalupka?
Aye.
Commissioner Varnum?
Aye.
Chair is yes. Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. It's a -3 determination of applicability. A -3 determination is issued. What that means is the act applies, but because the work is within the buffer zone, it has minimal impacts that we've determined it to be not significant to the work in the buffer zone. So, okay,
Great,
all right.
thanks a lot.
Thank you. Good luck. Moving on. A request for determination of applicability, Mirror Development. Project location is 65 Perkins Street, and it's proposed redevelopment of existing vacant mill buildings and construction of new buildings at 65 Perkins Street, creating 42 residential dwelling units and 3,400 square feet of commercial and retail space. Attorney Flood, if you could identify yourself for the
Evening,
record.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, James Flood, 549 Rogers Street, Lowell. I'll be very brief. Represent One Perkins Street LLC and Mirror Development LLC, and with me tonight is Ed Walsh Jr., who is a principal in both entities. For the past 6 months, I've been working with them, presenting plans to the planning board for the renovation of both the the old administration building, which is at 1 Perkins Street, and also this remaining portion of property owned by Riverfront Development, which is the last piece of the Lawrence Mills redevelopment project at 65 Perkins Street. My client intends to file with this board a notice of intent pertaining to the 1 Perkins Street project because it's right along the river. But to be truthful with you, we didn't think this piece was jurisdictional because it's not along the river, and under 310 CMR 10.58, I think canals are exempted, so that's why we haven't come in here. In addition, in all the comments I received in front of the planning board, there was no reference to the Conservation Commission as far as 65 Perkins Street was concerned. There was reference on 1 Perkins Street that it was jurisdictional, but we didn't receive anything from the Conservation Commission on those comments. But Aaron suggested that we file this RDA with the board. It would have been done sooner, Mr. Chairman, but Mr. Walsh was out of commission for a little over a month with an unexpected medical situation. So I'll turn it over to him. I know there was concern about a tree. I think we've submitted a report from an arborist on the tree, but he can explain the project, and I think that he wants to
All right.
cooperate with you. Wants to
Perhaps I can answer at least some of the question, and I'm the one who requested that you come in.
Yeah.
So it's through no fault of anyone else but my own. And this is sort of it's a difficult situation insofar as I don't necessarily disagree with you that 65 Perkins Street is jurisdictional. However, when DCAM owned these properties, this was subject to an order of conditions. And as part of that order of conditions, all the sycamore trees, all the historic sycamore trees on the site were protected. That order of conditions was released, but the protection of the sycamore trees remained. So the sycamore trees on that site, the Conservation Commission retained jurisdiction over the trees and over the protection of the trees. At some point in time, over the last several years, the site was split up. DCAM sold some of it to, I guess, the Lawrence Mills Development or whoever that is.
They sold it all to Riverfront Development, and then
And
he
then
broke it
Mira,
up
and then Mira is a successor in title and picked up,
to two buildings in the middle.
right, and picked up some of it. But regardless, the trees remained within the protection of the Conservation Commission.
I don't think Ed realized that, to be truthful with you.
I don't know what we're gonna do. I mean, I see the report from your arborist, and obviously, well, I mean, there's comments in here that they're hollow. Well, there's comments in here that they've got a fungus. There's comments that they were in poor health. Well, you know what? Those trees were planted by one of the founders of our city. They show up in historic glass plate photographs from the mid-1800s, from the Centerville side of the city, overlooking the Aiken Street Bridge, which the name escapes me now. It's not called the Aiken Street Bridge back then. Overlooking the Lawrence Mills, and you can see all of those trees over the mills. They were already mature trees in the 1860s, 1870s. They were already majestic. The trees have been through at least 4 major floods and have been completely inundated. They've been through an inferno when those mills burnt down.
Yep.
They've been through disease, they've been through site development, they've been through site redevelopment, and they've survived. And the only thing they didn't survive was a chainsaw from a developer.
Well, I mean,
And, I came home from my vacation, and honest to God, I shed a tear. We lost the sycamore trees that were part of the Lawrence Mills project. They were taken down literally in the dead of night by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in contrary to the order that existed to protect the trees. And that was the significant stand. Those were the ones in the parking lot that you could see while you were watching the game over at LaLasha
those are the
Park.
ones up further,
The ones in the center of the courtyard.
up here, yeah.
The ones, I mean, those trees survived being suspended by their root systems while the site was cleaned up, because they found, it was a somewhat dirty site prior to the development, or prior to the redevelopment. And they survived that. They survived for several years after that. Had absolutely no problem. I mean, sycamore trees, their very nature is they look sick. I don't know if that's why they call them sycamore trees. I doubt it, but, maybe a little play on words there. But they always look like they're dying. I mean, it's just the nature of the tree. They shed their bark and their leaves twice a year. They're kind of unusual in that respect. Well, I came home from vacation again, and what do I see? I see stumps. And that was several weeks ago. And I called Aaron literally 2 minutes after that and gave him an earful. And so
He related to us.
the reason why we're here is because of that. Obviously, someone felt that the trees were significant because a tree report was done prior to them being removed. I'm a little chagrined by the arborist's comment that he was unable to get close to the trees because of overbrush in January. But yet, a guy with the chainsaw got right up close and personal to them. There's memos. I'm looking at memos, and some of them have mirror development on them that mention the trees as significant and protected. I just did a quick Google search of City of Lowell documents, and I've got 2 memos right here. One dated March 14th, 2012, another dated May 19th, 2011, that both mention the protection that the Conservation Commission has on the sycamore trees. So I'm at a loss right now because I think something needs to be done to recognize the significance of those trees.
Well, I mean, I don't think he just went out and did it. I mean, I think you can see they went and got a report before the tree was cut down. I don't think he realized the protection. I don't think he had realized protection, but as part of the approval with the planning board and with the historic, there were how many, 5 or 6 trees going, 5 or 6 trees are being planted in that area, subject to planning board and historic board approval. So we're not going to leave the area without foliage. So I think the historic is concerned about making it look right, and so is the planning board. There's nothing I can say about cutting down the tree. All I can say is we took steps to get an arborist to come in and look at it. He said it was dying. Eddie was there when it was taken down. He said it was completely hollow inside. So
That's
I
the
don't know.
nature of a sycamore tree, and for the arborist to not indicate that, I felt was a little disingenuous. As I said, just a cursory review of the history of these trees and what they had gone through and what they had survived through. I understand you have your report and it says what it says, but it doesn't say that it doesn't say that they're in imminent, danger of dying either. It just says that they're unhealthy. It's, I'm going to open it up right now for if anyone else wants to make some comments, but.
Mr. Chairman, just in light of what was said, if this was jurisdictional, the classic approach is to avoid, impacts to the resource, minimize impacts if you can't avoid, and then mitigate if you can't minimize. In light of this whole area, starting with the whole decamp project, trees being cut down, that shouldn't have been, I'm wondering, would the owner be willing to entertain the possibility of maybe replacement of a couple of trees? There's a lot of open space, public, city-owned parkland in that area. If there was a mutually agreed upon location to maybe put in a couple of replacement trees, it would certainly be in the spirit of, acknowledging the historic significance of trees in that area. Certainly you're not going to get, 75-foot trees up front, I get it. But I think something like that may be, in my opinion, a good faith gesture, recognize the significance of the trees, and, I think would kind of show, again, in my opinion, an act of good faith of the developer. Because I can tell you, as someone that lives over in that area, I think the project that's being done is a good project. Combined with the university development over there, new residence hall, I think that whole area is being beautified. But I don't think something like that, it would be a significant expense either. And I think, our role of kind of protecting open spaces and enhancing open spaces as well, it's not just protection of wetlands. That may be something I think, we could probably work on with you if your client was willing to do so. I throw that out there as just a suggestion.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that you know, in and of itself, 65 Perkins Street from the beginning, as I said, I don't disagree with you, that if you just took it isolated, is not necessarily jurisdictional, but there are existing orders.
I didn't know that at the time. I found it, I got the reference from Aaron, and I downloaded them, so I saw them, but I don't think Ed realized that either. And,
I guess what makes me most sad, Attorney Flood, is that there's sycamore trees, there are more sycamore trees in the city, but these sycamore trees were important. And to be honest with you, when we were originally protecting these, and this dates back to 2003, 2004, when DCAM was originally proposing to redevelop the site, and we were concerned about the more significant stand of sycamore trees, which is no longer there. John Coppinger, who is a well-known arborist in the city, had dug up a lot of historic information on these specific trees. And what was interesting was he showed me at the time, and I wish I could put my hands on them. They're over at the library, over at the city library, the glass plates showing these trees, not trees like them, these trees, as part of, you know, the historic photos of the city of Lowell. You know, I mean, these are, you know, these didn't have a Molly Varnum plaque like Powwow Oak will have at some point in time, but these were historic trees.
there's no question they were there,
And obviously, they had good genes.
Huh?
Obviously, they had good genes, because
They
they've been
lasted a long
around for a
time.
while.
so that's a long time. But let Eddie, let him speak, and he,
That it will also actually mirror development, and as Jim Flood has said, we actually had no idea that there was an order of conditions with respect to the trees. We were aware that there had been an order of conditions with respect to work in the floodplain, but in every meeting with this is basically taking almost 24 months with DCAM to even get a transfer. It was been so complicated to untangle a small parcel of land through DCAM. I'm guessing in 20, 30 meetings, it was never mentioned. And we actually also met with National Park, with Historic, and we said, you know, are the trees actually historic? And they had told us no. So we had a report done by an arborist. The tree actually was hollow all the way through. So, you know, why it hadn't fallen down, we're not sure, but it was extremely unstable when it was taken down. But we had no intent to, out there, it was not a midnight raid. We thought we had done all of our homework. We actually had also conveyed to the city during the permitting through planning board of our intent. We had also said we will go back and replant in the courtyard 4 or 5 trees. We also will go back and we plan to extend the corridor along Perkins Street where we built Perkins Place. The same thing with some more pear trees along there. But to your comment, if you would also like us to plant 1 or 2 more trees in the park area, we can do that. That's fine. Yeah. No, I mean, we also, even though we don't even own it, we actually pay to maintain that park. So we pay with Renaissance as well as the city. So we pay between $4,000 and $5,000 a year, and we don't even own it. Okay.
I mean,
Well, thank you.
I mean, I would like to see, excuse me, some sycamore trees, and I know they're difficult to care for, but I'd like to see, they do flourish in those particular areas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're actually, we wouldn't want to plant one back where it was because of all the building around it, but where there is room in the park area, no, that would be fine by us.
I mean, it's a shame that you know, a sprout could not have been harvested from these stands. I know we were in discussion to do that with the larger stand that was removed a couple of years ago. And as I said, literally, that one was removed in the middle of the night. It up and disappeared within a week after after about a year and a half of the agreement with the state. It was caused some furor. Now, all right. All right, well, we're here. You're going to be back before us with a notice of intent for 1 Perkins. That's
Yes.
the one over by the canal
Yes.
and by the river too. That's the old administration building.
The old admin building.
Right.
And
Comes right down.
There's a sycamore tree over there also. There used to be.
There? no idea.
Hopefully it's still there.
Yeah, the only work we've done actually has been inside the building.
That
to
wasn't
stabilize.
one of the ones that was part of the discussion. It's a less significant one, but there was one over there.
That, on the right side of the building, is that the tree you're talking about? I think there's a big tree on the right side of the building.
Yeah, I mean, we've owned the property since 2005. We built the 2 mills in McQuaid and Hub, 21 and 39. Only work we've done inside the admin building was to go back and stabilize it. We actually are meeting with the university tomorrow because they have some interest in being able to use the building for alumni functions. So we had to stabilize it 3 years ago because it was falling apart. And then we've kind of just let
I
the building sit.
haven't been over, that little drawbridge or whatever it is that goes over there. And I haven't
Yeah.
been over that.
You know, I'll go back and look. I really didn't pay attention to what was within the area, but we were more concerned about actually
was-
getting the building stable.
There was a less significant specimen over there, and I'm not sure that we were overly concerned about that one, but seeing that it's probably from the same genetic stock that these were from, it may be something to think about protecting at this point in time.
Yeah, no, we actually have no intent to be able to, I mean, the parcel, the land that goes with the parcel, the Merrimack River would be north, so off to the east, heading towards the Western Canal. I know it's a little bit backwards that the Western Canal is east, but it's kind of how it is named. But towards the Western Canal, there's the strip of land, and then there's the strip to the south, actually along, the raceway. Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll go look for it. Haven't even noticed it, I apologize.
All right. What I would like to do then, Attorney Flood, is perhaps you can be in contact with Aaron in our office about following up with some additional tree planting.
Sure. Yeah, that's
Whether
fine.
on-site or off-site, but this is here for an RDA tonight, so we have to take action on it. And as I said, I don't disagree with you, other than the fact that this was all part of a larger site that was subject to our jurisdiction, and then it was split up. Is there any further discussion? All right. Commissioner Barnum?
I must say that this afternoon, when I visited the site, I was first shocked, and then I was very angry about the missing trees. And I just feel that it was known that this was significant due to the fact we have a site review from an arborist. It was obviously the focal point of that site. And I think your property has lost a significant value when you remove that tree. The fact that it was hollow means nothing as far as being a sycamore, because that's the way they grow. It's been standing there for probably a couple hundred years, and I doubt if, the next windstorm would be the one that would bring it down. And if it did, those mills, I don't think would take much of a hit anyway. Pretty sturdy buildings. I just can't fathom it. I don't know how you sleep at night thinking that somebody ordered that tree to be cut down. It's shocking, the little respect that something of that age and historical importance gets. And within the National Park of the City of Lowell and the Historical Park, I can't believe that, this was just overlooked. lots of people knew that that tree was important. And if you're new to the city, you come in, and I would think you'd ask around. You'd want to know the history of your property. Just saying that, well, the arborist said it was no good, and that's not good enough. I'm very, very disappointed, and there's very little that can fix the problem, but I would say definitely the planting of probably at least 3 true sycamores in the vicinity of that site would be a start. And sycamores of some size, not a 8-foot tall one that's going to take another 200 years to look significant. There are 3 historic sycamores missing from that property. The state is a culprit in all of this, and if they didn't tell you that the tree was protected, then they're even more of a culprit. But this is just shocking and never should have happened. If you knew you were coming here, work of that type should have stopped. It shouldn't have continued unabated. If the tree was part of your filing, the tree should have survived until we had a say about it. And I just think that there's a lot to atone for here.
All right. We're here on an RDA. What I'd like to do is, I don't know how we want to handle this.
I'd like to move that this be given a -3 with a condition that at least 3 sycamore trees be planted in the vicinity of the property.
Yeah, by actually, if you can clarify the vicinity, I mean, can we go back and plant them in the park?
With I would say within a block of any direction from the property.
We just have to
And if
get
you
actually.
could, if you could influence the state to replant 2 sycamores in the location over by the corner there where they were taken down, that would be even better.
With all due respect, Ms. Farnham, I can't even influence the state to sign the amendment letter, which I've been working on for 24 months, and all the documents have been signed by everyone else. So
Well, they're a lot looser with their trees than they are with their signatures.
I appreciate that, yes. They're a challenge. But if that's okay with the city, Aaron? Because we'd be
Well,
planning.
before we do anything, I have a motion on the table. Can I have a second to open it up for discussion at least?
Second.
All right. Okay, now we can. Who owns the property? Who owns the Renaissance on the River property?
It's a condominium.
It's condominium association.
The condominium
But the
association?
But the park
No,
actually is owned by the city of Lowell.
The
It
city of
was-
Lowell owns the parkland in the back. I don't know, it's not
Or
shown on this plan.
When you say the back, you mean facing
facing
Perkins
north,
Street?
Between Perkins Place, the big mills, this parcel, and also Renaissance on the
The
river.
city owns that?
Yeah, there's the open space that's been re-landscaped recently is owned by the city.
I mean, to me, that's an ideal place to,
I'm sure we could work with the applicant to locate appropriate.
There's already a good partnership right now between Perkins, Renaissance, and the city. The city owns it, but, as was mentioned, both Renaissance and Perkins contribute funds to the condo association to help maintain that area. So it's a great example of partnership. I think, working with the city, we could probably find an area to plant a couple of sycamore trees.
That's fine.
I thought I had a copy of a plan, Chris, with it here, but I don't.
I mean, I for one would love to see another Platanus occidentalis back where that original stand was, or at least in that proximity. That area down there just begs for a large tree.
The parkland is between the apartments and the river, correct?
It is.
And on the other side of the building as well.
It's between Lawrence
Either,
Drive.
to me, either side of the building.
Yeah, it's between Lawrence Drive and the Renaissance and the river, so it's all that park. I don't know how many acres it is. Aaron, any idea?
It's maybe 1.5, 2 acres, maybe a little bit bigger. It's actually a fairly large open space.
Yeah, and it's easy to access too. I mean, it's easy to get equipment in and out of there and stuff like that.
And it's going to be open and it's for the people to enjoy, so probably the right
I
spot.
mean, maybe even a placard. I mean, that's something that could be discussed at some other time. I mean, and but I'd like to look at something. I mean, I know it's falling on you guys, on you two, but, and you're the,
Me.
Well, look at me.
well, you brought in a good person. But, as I said, it just, I cried when I saw this happen. I should say the aftermath of it,
I was going to say, don't go on any more vacations, Chris.
So,
We want to work with the city, and I think Aaron will tell you, we've worked with the city in this district, and I think the plan for this whole development is really nice, and I think everybody's excited about it, so.
all right, so we have the motion, it's been seconded. Any further discussion? All
I
right,
just get a piece of clarification, because I know Commissioner Varnum mentioned the size of the tree. Is there any direction as far as the new tree in terms of caliper or size? Usually at least from the zoning perspective, we're looking for a minimum of 2.5-inch caliper, but maybe, I think usually 4 inches is probably the limit.
I'm thinking probably at least a 6-inch diameter breast-high caliper,
A 6-inch?
something.
That's a pretty large tree to plant, ma'am. I mean,
Oh.
we typically replant something between 3 and 4 inch caliber.
4-inch perhaps, but
I think that's more
I'm
reasonable.
thinking of a tree that's probably at least 12 feet tall when you put it in.
3 to 4 inches would be fine, right?
Yeah, and that would be between 3 and 4 inch caliper. Yeah. And that's pretty normally when we go back into a landscaped area, in an urban area, that's not abnormal.
all right. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, or opposed? Commissioner Lovely?
In favor.
Commissioner Chalupka?
Aye.
Commissioner Varnum?
Yes.
Chair is yes. Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
For coming in.
Thank you.
Any time frame for 1 Perkins Street?
After we meet tomorrow with the university, because we went back and stabilized the building, which we had to do. We have a proposal in front of them, we've been going back and forth for about 6 months with them, but if it looks favorable, we would get going probably late summer.
Okay, all right. Minutes. Do I have a motion regarding the June 27th, 2012 minutes?
I make a motion to accept the minutes from
Thank you.
June 27,
Thank you.
2012.
All right, do I have a second?
Aaron, thanks.
By Commissioner Lovely. Any discussion? No changes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Any other?
I'm sorry, I missed who,
That was the June
Motion.
27th minutes
and I missed,
by Commissioner Lynch, seconded by Commissioner Lovely. Do we have any other business? No?
that's all we have for right now. I know they're just by way of, initial offerings, there's about 3 or 4 notice of intent applications that we expect to be coming in the next month or so, maybe 2 months from the national park. Similar to what we had tonight, but these applications will be much more significant in size and jurisdiction. So
All right.
there'll be notice of intent applications, maybe late August.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? By Commissioner Lovely, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Lynch. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Good night.